Good morning, Kate here, bringing you this week's Monday Mission. And this week's topic is all about self-worth. And this topic really, it's a sensitive topic. It really hits home for me because this is something that I have had to and continue to have to work on every day. It's something that I've had to manage my thoughts around and continue to have to do that pretty often. So I was hoping today to bring you some of those tools that I've learned and that I use to sort of combat some of the unworthiness that we may feel, right? And I'm going to go into explaining that, give some examples of what that might look like in your life, and then we're going to have 2 exercises at the end. Those are going to be your missions for the week, okay? So I want you to really listen to this next part, because what I'm going to tell you about self-worth is literally going to change your life, change your world, and give you so much freedom. The hard part is going to be working on believing it. But self-worth is given to everyone, okay? Everyone is worthy. Every person, right? Self-worth is nothing that anyone can take credit for. There is nothing that you can do to get more of it. There's nothing that you can do to have less of it. Every single person, simply because they were born, is worthy. Worthy of love, worthy of compassion, worthy of belonging. Nothing that you can do or that anyone can do can change that. It just is what it is. Nobody gets to decide your worth but you. It is a non-negotiable, okay? I'm telling you this because if you choose to believe that, if you choose to believe that everyone has self-worth, including yourself, no matter what you do, then it is going to give you so much freedom. But like I said, the hard part is choosing to believe that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about why I believe that self-worth is just a constant, that everyone has it. And then we're going to go into some examples of what might happen when you're not believing that, when you do sort of outsource your worth to other people or other things or the outside world. Okay, so the reason I feel like self-worth is something that is constant and no one can do anything to have more or less of it is if you kind of think of self-worth as being synonymous with valuable, right? So if I think of something that's really valuable, Parker noticed on the road the other day a Lamborghini, which super valuable, right? Very expensive. People spend a lot of money for these. Nobody can deny that they're worth a lot, right? Nobody can deny that they are valuable. I don't like Lamborghinis. I don't like how they look. I wouldn't choose to drive one. I could be a billionaire and I still would not buy a Lamborghini. It doesn't change the worth or the value of the Lamborghini. It just is what it is. It's been proven that it has that worth and that value, whether I like it or not, right? So if you can choose to think about yourself in that way, and other people, but let's start with ourselves. If we can choose to think of ourselves that way, that we just are automatically worthy because we were born. It has nothing to do with anything that we did or didn't do, okay? I could stop the video right now and I'm telling you, if you choose to practice that thought and you choose to truly believe it, then it will change your world. But I know how hard it is because it's taking me a long time to truly believe this. But if we think about what our self-worth is and how it's developed, it really is our opinion of ourselves, right? So it's not necessarily, we can believe that our worth is constant, but it more comes down to, our opinion of ourselves, what we believe about ourselves, the negative thoughts or the thoughts that we have around ourselves. And this is developed, from the time that we're born, right? So our messages that we receive from family, from friends, from people that we are around and interact with, from our culture, from society, that is what really shapes our opinion of ourselves, which then equates to whether we feel that we are worthy or not. Okay, so if you are a 90s kid like me, then a lot of your self-worth or opinion of yourself was based on how you looked and how thin you were. If you think of the supermodels during that day and sort of the advertising that had started during that time of, super, super thin women, the fat-free, everything needed to be fat-free, and sort of all of those messages that you're being sent, right? And then I go into, parenthood. And so all of the messages are, if you co-sleep, then you're worthy. If you breastfeed versus using formula, then you're worthy. So all of those messages are being given to us from the day that we're born, and they shape our opinion of ourselves, right? So that's where it comes from. And it's going, how I talk about those sledding hills, right? So if you have thought over and over and over again that your worth is dependent on how thin you are, how pretty you are, how good of a mom you are, all of these different things, that is going to take a lot of work to undo that, and it's going to take practice to undo it, but it can be done, okay? So let's think about the model that we've been talking about, right? So I'll get my board out, and remember, something happened, we have thoughts about what happened, those thoughts create the feeling creates our behaviors, and the behavior gets our results, right? So let's say that something happened, and you say the thought that you have around that something is, it's because I'm, fill in whatever word, it's because I'm fat, it's because I'm ugly, it's because I'm stupid, it's because I'm not a good mom, it's because whatever, insert that there. That thought that you have, which is tied to your worth, causes you to feel not worthy, right? And a bunch of other feelings, not so great feelings. Those feelings are going to cause your behavior, okay? And if you're feeling like this, do you think you're going to show up as your best self? As the best mom, as the best wife, as the best whatever job you have, as the best friend? You're not going to show up as your best self. And what ends up happening then, a lot of times, is that you have proof for the thought that's over here. And we go back and we continue, and that sledding hill is created, right? So let's say that something happened. Let's say that you were up for a promotion at work and you didn't get it. And your thought around that is, it's because I'm fat. So you don't feel very worthy, right? Along with some other feelings. And those feelings create your behavior of overeating. Or sometimes it's our inaction. So you don't get up and work out or take that walk that you were going to. You don't plan your meals for the week or meal prep so that you have healthy options, right? You're not your best self. And are you going to feel healthy? Is your body going to look healthy if you're doing those things? Nope. So proof, yep, it happened because I'm this, right? So that's how those patterns are created in our mind. If something happened and you think it's because I'm a bad mom, I'm not a good mom, I'm horrible, I don't have patience, I snap at them, I get angry too often, right? I'm too strict. Those thoughts are going to create that feeling of unworthiness and some other feelings, and then you're not going to be your best self. So you are going to be short with your kids, and you're going to snap at them, which is proof for the thought that you're having, right? So you can see how, especially if that's happening over and over and over again, how ingrained that becomes and how much of a pattern that becomes. And again, it's going to be very difficult to break that, but we can do it, right? So here's how you will go about doing that. So I'm going to give you an example of something that happened to me very recently at work. Okay, so my ability as a psychologist came into question, right? It came into question that maybe I didn't make the best decision regarding recommendations for a student, and that student then did not receive the support or the services that they needed, right? And if I am in this pattern, okay, so the thing happened, my recommendations as a psychologist were questioned, so that's what happened. If my thought is, it's because I'm stupid, I'm no good, I'm a horrible psychologist, I'm this, I'm that, right? It's going to make me feel not worthy. And then I'm not going to be my best self for the next student. And the next time that case comes up or a similar case comes up, I'm not going to be my best self. And maybe, not that I would do anything, unethical or anything to that degree, but I just may not have a clear head to do the best evaluation for that student, right? And then the proof is there to verify and support that thought that I have, and then I can get into this pattern and get stuck in here. So what I did is I had some feelings about it, and that's okay because we can handle our feelings, right? I'm not a robot. I'm going to have feelings about this. I felt like my integrity was questioned, and I felt like, my 16 years of experience were just thrown out the window, right? I had anger, I had frustration, I had all of the feelings because I'm human. But I'm able to create that space between the feeling and the reaction. Okay, I can stop myself at this point because I've practiced this over and over again, and you'll be able to do that too. And so what I do is I start reflecting on disconfirming experiences, right? So things that go against this thought that I'm not a good school psychologist or I didn't do the right thing by this student, right? So I start going back to my 16 years, my career, the times that I have done the best by the student and the family, and the nights that I've stayed up reviewing data and thinking over in my head, is this the right decision for this student? Am I recommending the best support for them? Is there anything else we can do? All of those times I've done that, all of the families that have thanked me, all of the feedback that I have gotten from teachers and administrators that I work with, that is all disconfirming, right? So if all of those things are true, and I believe all of that, praise or, support, feedback from the other people that I've worked with and the students that I've worked with, that goes against this thought. So I just remember those things. Those things show that this isn't true, right? And then I reflected on that, and then I remembered what I know about human behavior, right? So the person that maybe is questioning you, you can say, well, that's probably a pattern in their own head. And the questioning me is right here in their pattern, right? So I may understand that they're having some kind of pattern going on that truly has nothing to do with my worth or my ability as a psychologist, okay? So, like I said, it is not easy. It's something that you have to practice, and you have to go through over and over and over again. But it's possible, and those are the ways to really combat those feeling of worthiness or unworthiness. So if you go with the thought that you just choose to believe the thought that everyone is worthy, your worth has nothing to do with anything that you do or don't do, take a deep breath with me, right? That is such a relief. There's no pressure. I'm worthy. I'm just worthy because I am, and you are worthy because you are. And we're just going to choose to believe that and remind ourselves of that and stop this pattern from happening with that feeling of unworthiness, right? So 2 ways that we can really sort of cement this thought in and really help this thought to continue for us and to support this choice that we're going to make to choose to believe that everyone is worthy. The first one is to really get to know yourself, okay? So the reason I can, come up with disconfirming experiences that go against that thought of unworthiness that I was having this week is because I have those years of experience of knowing myself, being in similar situations and proving myself, doing the right thing, doing what needs to be done, and truly knowing who I am and what my values are, okay? I know that my value is to do the best, most thorough evaluation that I am capable of doing with what I know and what I have in that moment. Okay, that is a value of mine. And I know that I've upheld that value for 16 years. So getting to know yourself and your values, right? So my value, another value I have is that I want to be the healthiest that I can be. So I have now been able to shift my healthy eating and my working out to that idea of being healthy. I want to be able to run around with my grandkids, right? I want to be able to enjoy retirement and, be able to travel and do all of those kinds of things. That's very important to me. That's a value for me. So I'm going to choose to do these things, not to punish myself, not to prove that I'm not fat, which means I'm worthy, right? I'm doing it because it's for a value that I have. So really getting to know your values and just getting to know yourself. And again, how do we do that? Just curiosity. We ask ourselves how we feel about this or why we want to do this thing or what's coming up for us. Just constantly being curious and talking through our thoughts. And then the other thing that is going to be very helpful with this is realizing that, we're choosing to believe that we are worthy simply because we are, which means we are worthy of compassion. Okay, so I know many of you actually responded to a recent post where I talked about how difficult it is for me to show myself compassion. I'm the first one to sort of try to explain why someone else might be doing what they're doing, give them the benefit of the doubt, try to be the bigger person. But then in that process, I'm not giving that same compassion to myself. And that can be tied into our self-worth. We don't feel deserving of that compassion or worthy of it, right? But if we believe that we're worthy, then that automatically says that we are worthy of compassion and showing ourselves that compassion. So next time something happens that you feel is negative, or you feel was a mistake, or you messed up, or you're just having negative thoughts about, I want you to think of if you're a mom, think of your child, think of your dog, your favorite pet, or even your younger self. Let's say your 6-year-old self, okay? If your child, your dog, your pet, your beloved, whatever, your younger self made that same mistake or did that same thing that you're having all of these unworthy thoughts about, what would you say to them? Would you tell them that it was a mistake and they can try harder and people make mistakes? Yeah, you would. Would you give that person compassion? Yes, you absolutely would. You would validate their feelings. You would show them compassion for why they acted the way that they did, and you would try to help them to move on. You would not scream at them that it happened because you're fat, it happened because you're ugly, it happened because you're stupid, it happened because you're a bad mom. You would not make them feel unworthy, right? So there's no reason to do it to ourselves. Okay, so those are your 2 little missions. The first one is to think of your values, and that's not an overnight thing. That's just something to constantly be curious about. What are my values as far as my relationship, my parenting, my work, my family, my friendships, okay? And then the second mission is when you are in the midst of blaming yourself, feeling unworthy, I want you to picture your child, your dog, or your younger self, and treat yourself the way that you would treat them. Act as if it was them that did it. Okay. So this one was good. I like this one. I use this stuff still daily, and I hope it helps you guys. So as always, share with me anything that comes up with you this week, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks.